Let's head to New Zealand, shall we? Cricket West Indies CEO Johnny Grave has blasted the action of players, saying they have put the series in jeopardy after a protocol breach. The West Indies have been barred from training until the end of their quarantine period after breaching COVID-19 protocols within their managed isolation facility in Christchurch. Jerome Foster reports.
According to a statement on Tuesday from New Zealand Cricket, it was made aware that some members of the West Indies team compromised bubble integrity by sharing food and socializing in hallways. It went on to say that there is no evidence or suggestion that any members of the touring party left the facility or that any unauthorized persons accessed the facility. At present, the West Indies squad is split into two groups of 20, with interaction between groups restricted. Following the incident, the New Zealand Ministry of Health had advised Cricket West Indies that all members of the touring party will be unable to train for the remainder of the quarantine period and will have to complete their quarantine within the managed isolation facility only. This, Graves says, is a blow to the team's preparation ahead of the warm-up games.
It's a huge blow to our preparation to have no training for the next 3 days. That said, I do want to stress that we are, as an organisation, in full support of the New Zealand Ministry of Health's position and the action that they've taken. And we have written to all the players a couple of hours ago, re-emphasising the importance of strictly following all of these protocols.
In the meantime, the CEO says it's surprising that members of the squad would break protocols, having been through a similar situation when they toured England during the summer.
Yes, we're disappointed. Yes, we're surprised that the players would, as I said, having gone through so many months now of playing in this biosecure environment, that they would have let themselves down and let Cricket West Indies down, and potentially, put the tour at risk and the New Zealand population at risk.
Reports have stated incidents, suggesting that whatever happened wasn't a one-off occurrence. Grave, though, says he could not speak to the number of infringements and also stayed clear of suggesting any disciplinary actions will be taken.
We certainly made it very clear, Andrew, from the outset that if any player breached the quarantine facility, i.e., left the facility without permission, that would be, probably taken outside of our hands, being truthful, but that would have resulted in a player being sent home immediately. This is obviously an incident that's taken place within the quarantine facility itself.
The good news, however, is that the quarantine requirements will not change for the Windies, even with players coming in from the Indian Premier League to join the squad. Those players will be subjected to a mandatory 14-day quarantine period before squad integration. Ahead of the tour to New Zealand, the West Indies touring party all returned 2 negative COVID-19 tests before leaving the Caribbean and did a further 2 in New Zealand. All results were negative. They're also awaiting a third test before being cleared to leave the managed isolation on Friday and travel to Queenstown ahead of 2 warm-up matches against New Zealand A later this week. Jerome Foster, TVJ Sports.